The cool night air filled the cavernous halls of Andoria's grand library, where candles flickered against endless rows of weathered tomes. Silence reigned supreme, broken only by the sound of rustling pages. In this sanctuary of knowledge, young Arin pored over an ancient, forgotten scroll, its fragile parchment whispering secrets of old in the dim light. The shadow of the twin moons cast an ethereal glow through the high windows, a silent omnipresence that made Arin's heart race. "You shouldn't be here at this hour, you know," a voice came from behind, startling Arin, who clutched the fragile scroll tightly. It was Elyndra, a fellow scholar and close confidant, her expression a blend of mild annoyance and concern. I found something, Elyndra," Arin stammered, beckoning her closer. "Something that speaks of a great power tied to the moons. And a hero." Elyndra's eyes widened with interest as she leaned over, her braided hair brushing the parchment. "A prophecy? But those are just myths, nothing more." "Maybe," Arin replied, holding her gaze steady. "But if this darkness that's spreading is what I think it is, we can't dismiss anything." As if in concurrence, the silver glow of the larger moon dimmed momentarily, a fleeting shadow crossing its luminescent face. Elyndra shivered involuntarily. "We need to show this to Eldrick. He'll know what to do with it." Arin nodded, rolling the scroll carefully as if it held the very fabric of their future. Together, they made their way through the silent corridors, walls echoing the stories of ages past. Little did they know their world rested on a knife's edge as the whispers of the twin moons began to stir the tides of fate. The following morning, the city of Andoria buzzed with rumors as the skies grew restless overhead. Arin and Elyndra hurried through the bustling streets to the council hall, where Eldrick, the head of the Scholars' Assembly, conducted the daily governance of knowledge. His piercing blue eyes regarded them keenly as they entered his study, piled high with scrolls and maps. "What brings two young minds here at such an early hour?" Eldrick asked, a hint of curiosity woven into his voice. Arin stepped forward, unfurling the ancient scroll. "Eldrick, we discovered something last night, a prophecy that speaks of the twin moons and a hero born to restore balance." Eldrick's brow furrowed as he examined the scroll with practiced expertise. "This script is ancient indeed. It speaks of the Seeker of Moons, a role long forgotten in the annals of history. But why bring this to me now?" "Because the shadows from the prophecy are coming forth," Elyndra said, trying to keep her voice steady. "We've all felt it, the darkness encroaching around the edges of our lands." Eldrick pondered the words, his fingers tracing the faded ink. "If this is true, then time is of essence. The balance of Zephyra depends on every move you make next. Arin, you must heed this call. Find the sigils and harness the power of the moons." Arin hesitated, feeling the weight of destiny settle like a mantle on his shoulders. "But where do I start?" he asked, realizing his life's path had suddenly unfurled into the unknown. "Begin at the Valley of Echoes," Eldrick advised, his voice solemn but firm. "It is said the first sigil lies hidden within." As they exited the hall, Elyndra placed a reassuring hand on Arin's shoulder. "You're not alone in this. We'll face the shadows together." Arin nodded, the determination in his heart tempered by the uncertainty of the journey ahead. Beneath the twin gaze of the moons, Arin and Elyndra prepared to leave their beloved city and venture into the wild, where secrets and dangers lay intertwined, awaiting their discovery. With the rising sun stretching shadows across the cobblestones, Arin and Elyndra set out on their perilous journey. The outskirts of Andoria faded into the untamed wilderness, their path lined by ancient oaks whispering secrets with every gust of wind. The Valley of Echoes, a place of legend and mystery, drew them steadily onward. As they descended into the valley, a hushed stillness enveloped them, the air heavy with enchantment. Every footfall seemed magnified, their presence resonating against the valley walls as if touching an invisible thread of magic. "Careful," Elyndra cautioned, her eyes scanning the rocky landscape. "Legends speak of creatures that guard the valley's secrets." Arin nodded, his senses heightened. The scroll they carried hinted at a forgotten place where the first lunar sigil was hidden. "You think we'll find it here?" Arin inquired. "We'll have to," Elyndra replied, her determination unwavering. "There's no turning back now." As they ventured deeper, a subtle change in the atmosphere signaled they were close. The air grew cooler, and a faint, otherworldly glow began to emanate from the rocks, guiding them like silent sentinels. Something's here. Arin pointed to an opening, half concealed by ivy and shadow. Just as they approached, a rustling sound startled them. Emerging from the shadows was a beast-like figure, its eyes glinting with an eerie intelligence. The guardian of the valley, spoken of in whispers and ancient texts. "Who dares trespass on sacred ground?" the guardian growled, its voice a resonant echo. "We seek the lunar sigil, to restore balance to Zephyra," Arin declared, his voice a blend of bravado and sincerity. The guardian regarded them for a moment that stretched into eternity. "Prove your worth?" it challenged, a glint of respect flickering in its gaze as it reared back to test the mettle of their claims. Arin and Elyndra exchanged a look, their resolve reflecting in each other's eyes. Together they prepared to face whatever trial awaited, the echoes of destiny calling them to embrace their burgeoning courage. The Guardian's challenge was one that tested not just their strength, but their hearts and spirits. As the figure loomed over them, it raised an arm, and the ground trembled beneath Arin and Elyndra's feet, creating a series of intertwining paths that seemed to stretch forever. "This is the path of echoes," the Guardian intoned. "Only those who see beyond lies and fear may pass." Arin and Elyndra exchanged another look, the gravity of the task sinking in. "Stay close. We can't let illusions or fear mislead us," Elyndra whispered. They stepped forward, the paths shifting beneath their feet. Strange images danced around them. Figures from their past, shadows of doubt, layers of uncertainty warped across each choice they considered. "Arin, look!" Elyndra pointed to a glimmering point in the distance. Flickering transiently was a luring symbol that drew them in, one unmistakably tied to the lunar prophecy. But just as they moved towards it, a torrent of voices echoed around them, pulling, taunting, a cacophony meant to deter. "You're not ready," a voice hissed, its origin impossible to find. "Our world is doomed, and it's your fault," snarled another. Arin hesitated, fear clenching his heart. Elyndra grabbed his arm, her eyes fierce. "Remember why we're here, Arin," she reminded, grounding him with her unwavering gaze. Gathering his resolve, Arin shook off the voices, focusing on the truth solidified in their mission. "That's an illusion," Arin asserted, pointing confidently to an almost invisible path hidden between the more prominent way and the illusory terrain. With a nod, they both veered off the deceptive course, time and shadows bending around them, until they stood before the sacred sigil, its ancient energy pulsating beneath the touch of their hands. The Guardian appeared once more, its eyes softened with respect. "You have seen the truth, and therefore you have earned the sigil," it acknowledged, bowing in reverence. With their first victory sealed, power and clarity granted by the ancient sigil, Arin and Elyndra armed themselves with newfound courage and certainty, ready to continue their quest, well aware that this was but the beginning of trials to come. With the lunar sigil secured, Arin and Elyndra ventured out of the Valley of Echoes, each step reverberating with newfound purpose. The landscape opened up to vast horizons, where the suns kissed the emerald fields and whispered secrets to the whispering tides of distant seas. The burden of their quest was a tangible weight, but with each passing mile, it became an inseparable part of their resolve. Along the road, they encountered travelers and traders, each sharing tales of mounting unease in the kingdom, a shared fear echoing the prophecies of old. "People are growing restless," Elyndra observed as they passed a bustling market square where townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about mysterious happenings. "It's the darkness," Arin replied, "spreading faster than I feared." An old merchant, overhearing their conversation, approached. His weathered face bore the wisdom of decades. "You're the two who seek to stop it, aren't you?" he asked, warmth in his eyes. "That's the plan," Elyndra smiled slightly, cautiously respectful of his knowing gaze. He nodded, respect shimmering in his eyes. "Then listen. Ancient keepers dwelled once within the Wordwood. Seek the Moonstone Glade. It's whispered the second sigil lies there, waiting for those with noble intent." "Wordwood," Arin mused. "I've only read of its legends, its enchantment." "And enchantment it holds, boy," the merchant warned, a twinkle of familiarity in his voice. "But beware, for the woods can twist even the sincerest heart." With gratitude, Arin and Elyndra continued, their path now leading them toward the enchanting but perilous woodlands. Towering trees of ancient lineage welcomed them into a realm where time seemed to waver, and the air was thick with the essence of magic. As twilight painted the sky with hues of amethyst, they camped under the watchful eyes of the twin moons, their luminescence carving silver paths over tangled branches. "It's beautiful," Elyndra whispered, her gaze softening under the lunar tapestry. "And daunting." "That's why we need to succeed," Arin replied, his eyes reflecting the glow of the moons. With the wordwood awaiting them, they steeled their hearts for the challenges to come, the shadows whispering warnings beneath the serene facade of moonlit tranquility. The morning sun filtered through the dense canopy of the wordwood, casting dapples of light on the forest floor, as Arin and Elyndra navigated the ancient pathways with caution. Each step seemed to stir the timeless magic that suffused the air, resonating with promises and perils alike. Their journey was a passage through time and myth, the woods whispering tales of its history, roots buried deep in the very fabric of Zephyra. As they ventured deeper, the trees towered ever more imposingly, and the forest's enchantments grew stronger, pulling at the heartstrings of anyone daring to enter. "Feels like the forest is alive," Elyndra murmured, tracing her fingers along the intricate patterns of bark that seemed to pulse beneath her touch. Arin nodded, sensing it too, a consciousness, benign yet ultimately discerning. "We're definitely being watched," he replied, casting a watchful eye at the subtle movements in the shadows. After countless twists and turns, they reached a clearing bathed in ethereal moonlight, despite the midday sun overhead. Here lay the Moonstone Glade, an open expanse where nature's magic lay unrestrained and pure. Resting at its center was a pedestal, upon which glowed the second lunar sigil, awaiting the touch of true seekers. Arin stepped forward, hand outstretched, when suddenly the ground trembled and a spectral figure emerged, clad in robes woven of starlight and shadows. "Prove your unity with the Moon's Seeker," intoned the figure, its voice echoing across the glade. Arin hesitated, understanding this to be another test. "Unity," he mused aloud. "The connection between courage, heart, and the moons themselves." With Elyndra at his side, Arin unclasped the glowing sigil they had obtained in the Valley of Echoes. "Together," Elyndra whispered, interlacing her fingers with Arin's, their combined resolve a tangible force. The Guardian nodded silently as their united resolve lit a radiant path to the new sigil. Arin took a deep breath and approached the pedestal, placing their joint sigil beside the new one. A harmonious resonance filled the air as the sigils fused, their light converging in a brilliant display. "You are chosen," the figure affirmed, its presence waning into the starlit void. "Carry forth this bond." The test passed, Arin and Elyndra found their spirits invigorated by a profound sense of accomplishment and unity, their bond now blessed by the moon's celestial light. But amidst the magic of the Moonstone Glade, they knew their journey was far from over, with shadows ever at the edges of their newfound strength. With the second sigil secured, Arin and Elyndra resumed their journey through the Wordwood, its secrets now whispered gently within their souls. The path ahead seemed to open more readily, as if the forest recognized their status as chosen ones, walking in harmony with its ancient allure. However, as they emerged from the protective embrace of the woods, a bleak vista unfolded before them. Villages they passed bore signs of distress, crops wilted too soon, whispers of livestock vanishing, and the mounting fear of raids stirred by the rising darkness. "It's spreading faster than we anticipated," Elyndra remarked quietly, her gaze lost in the despair reflecting from those they encountered. "Yes, and it's only a matter of time before it reaches the capital," Arin agreed, clenching his fist with determination. "We must find the third sigil quickly. The shadows are weaving their own story of desolation." Their journey led them toward the courtyard of Whispering Stones, a sacred site echoing with the voices of past generations. It was fabled that only the bravest could unlock its potential to find what they sought. Upon arrival, a dense mist hovered over the courtyard, the air thick with an otherworldly presence that clung to their skin. Monolithic stones stood in a circle, each adorned with ancient runes implicating tales of valor and sacrifice. Elyndra approached the stones cautiously. "Do you hear it?" she asked, her voice a mere breath among the whispers. The air pulsated with a chorus of those who had come before, merging with the whispers of the present. Arin placed his hand against a chilled stone, a sharp cold running through him, as voices echoed, Seek the truth of your heart's courage. Understanding dawned upon them both. They had to face the fears within, a truth facing the depths of their own being. Closing his eyes, Arin focused inward, confronting the shadows of doubt that loomed, his faith reaffirming his purpose. Elyndra joined him, their hands bound to the stones. Together, they faced their fears and doubts, each heartbeat syncing with the other until a harmonious hum resonated. Suddenly, the mist began to clear, revealing a hidden alcove where the third sigil gleamed with quiet power, awaiting their claim. They approached it with reverence, their fears washed away by courage and unity. As Arin grasped the sigil, the stones fell silent, acknowledging their resolve. Bearing 3 sigils now, Arin and Elyndra set forth with mounting urgency. Their trials had shaped them, but Zephyra's fate loomed perennially dark, a race against encroaching shadows in a world teetering on the brink of oblivion. With the 3 sigils forming an unbroken bond of light, Arin and Elyndra moved with renewed urgency. Each sigil pulsed in harmony, resonating with their unified purpose, yet the path left to tread was fraught with inhospitable terrain and fiercely guarded knowledge. News of their quest had spread like wildfire. As they made their way toward the Forsaken Cliffs, a bastion of darkness long avoided by the people of Zephyra, eager eyes followed them, hopeful hearts daring to dream once more. Arriving at the edge of the cliffs, they faced an ominous sight, waves crashing against jagged rocks below, mist rising like spectral fingers into a sky darkened by unnatural clouds. It was here the final sigil awaited, and with it, the promise of facing the ancient darkness foretold. "No turning back now," Elyndra murmured, surveying the perilous climb ahead. "And we don't face it alone," Arin replied, gesturing toward a flock of eagles circling above, watching over them with vigilant eyes. The ascent was grueling. Each step demanded their full concentration, the path a treacherous mixture of loose shale and jagged outcroppings. Yet steadfast and undeterred, they pressed on, the sigil's light guiding their way in the growing gloom. As they neared the summit, a bolt of cold wind struck them, carrying with it an unmistakable shiver of malevolence. The presence of an ancient power lay just beyond the cliff's edge, unseen but deeply felt. The guardian awaited, a figure draped in shadow, eyes glinting as if starlight itself had been stolen. "Who dares reach the end of fate?" it challenged, voice rolling like distant thunder. Arin stepped forward, determination etched into every fiber of his being. "We seek to restore balance to Zephyra, to end the darkness that threatens all," he declared, holding aloft the intertwined sigils. The guardian studied them, momentarily hesitant before responding. "The path forward requires a sacrifice of what anchors you." Understanding the weight of what was asked, Elyndra spoke softly. "We've stood as pillars for each other, but now our resolve must be our own." They intertwined their fingers one last time, sharing a moment of silent understanding before releasing each other to stand alone, Arin's courage and Elyndra's wisdom merging to form a singular strength. With both ready, the cliffs responded, making way for the hidden chamber within, where the last sigil glimmered with a rarefied light, echoing the hope of the twin moons. Seizing this pivotal moment, Arin steadied his heart, knowing the final confrontation awaited. The time to face the ancient darkness was near, and the world depended upon the echoes of their resolve. As the chamber unveiled itself within the heart of the Forsaken Cliffs, Arin and Elyndra, now bearers of all 4 sigils, stood on the precipice of destiny. The air within was thick with luminous energy, the sigils humming a symphony only they could hear. Arin's heart pounded with both anticipation and fear as they descended into the inner sanctum, where an ancient darkness awaited, a primal force untouched by time, reawakened by the arrogance and hubris of long-forgotten sorcerers. Suddenly, the ground trembled with a primal force, rocks shifting underfoot as shadows swelled to coalesce into a form palpable yet ethereal. It surged forth, manifesting into the Dark One, eyes glinting like obsidian stars. A vast silence stretched before it, echoing with cold contempt. "You bring the sigils to me willingly?" The Dark One's voice slithered through the chamber, each syllable dripping with mockery and ancient malice. "As beacons," Arin affirmed, his voice unwavering, "their light shall show the path to end your reign of darkness." "Lies," the entity hissed, lashings of shadow attempting to breach their sanctity. "Your world falls within my embrace. It always has." Elyndra stepped forward, her eyes alight with the fire of knowledge. "We stand together, a testament to what the moons represent. Unity and hope," she declared, the sigils responding with cascades of divine luminescence. Right there a battle unfolded, raw, visceral, and fierce. Light clashed against shadow, every hope and fear, every doubt and belief soaring within their hearts, fueling the tempest. "Arin, we must channel their energy together," Elyndra urged, reaching into the resonance of the sigils. Hands clasped, their spirits forged into one resolute force, Arin and Elyndra summoned the ancient cosmic power of the twin moons through the sigils. Rays of pure energy erupted, forming arcs of celestial luminescence that battered against the darkness. Moment by moment, the chamber quaked as a fierce struggle for dominion raged on, until at last, the darkness wavered under the weight of their unified will. As the Dark One's form unraveled like smoke lost to a divine breeze, its voice dissipated into an echoing whisper, "This is not the end." Silence flooded the chamber, replaced by a tranquil glow as the sigils merged into a singularity, marking the triumph of courage and unity. Yet, in the quiet aftermath, Arin and Elyndra knew their task wasn't finished. Only when the truth reconciled with peace could balance truly be restored in Zephyra. The aftermath of the confrontation left the chamber awash in an ethereal calm, the vestiges of the ancient darkness vanquished by the unified power of light and courage. Yet Arin and Elyndra knew their mission was not entirely over. The peace of Zephyra hung in the balance, and they had one final duty to fulfill. Emerging from the cliffs, they were greeted by the celestial majesty of the twin moons, now aligned and vibrant against the starlit sky. News of their victory spread swiftly, hope rekindled in the hearts of those witnessing the heavens glow, a beacon of renewal across the land. The journey back to Andoria was met with a myriad of emotions. Villagers they passed offered gratitude, tears of relief mixed with joyous cries, and the land bore witness to the renewal of life where shadows had lingered for far too long. Once in the city, the scholars' assembly hailed them as heroes. But Arin and Elyndra humbly accepted the accolades, aware of the broader significance, the power of unity among their people. In a grand ceremony under the twin moons, the sigils were returned to their rightful place in the Hall of Moons, an ever-present reminder of the vigilance required to maintain balance. Standing beside the glowing sigils, Eldrick addressed the gathered crowd, his voice strong and filled with reverence. "Today, we recognize a truth older than time itself," he declared. "That together, we embody the resilience and light needed to conquer even the deepest shadows that encroach upon us." Arin and Elyndra exchanged a glance, a deep understanding sealing their bond, a connection forged in trials and triumphs. They had begun as seekers of myths and truths, but emerged as beacons of hope and harbingers of a brighter future. "You've done well," Eldrick whispered to them, a proud mentor watching his protégés transform into leaders of legend. "We all did," Elyndra smiled, looking out at the multitude of faces, each carrying flecks of hope kindled anew. As the moons began their slow descent, casting a serene glow over Zephyra, Arin and Elyndra felt the warmth of accomplishment, knowing their world was now gifted a new dawn, a slate cleansed of darkness but full of challenges yet unseen. Yet they were undaunted and undeterred, guided by the enduring whispers of the twin moons, eternally echoing the lessons learned and the light conquered.